Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday or Wednesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today, on a Wednesday, I am all about the absolutely adorable North Pole Delivery Suite from the Stampin' Up! 2025 September-December mini catalog. Now, if you're used to seeing me on Tuesday, you probably were wondering where I was yesterday, but you also, if you've been watching for the last few weeks, noticed that I was having intermittent Wi-Fi issues. So we had a technician booked to come today to see if they could address whatever is going on. So I decided rather than fight with the Wi-Fi yesterday for the fourth week in a row, I would postpone by a day. And so far, things seem to be good. We have a brand new, latest, greatest modem. He assures me it's the best on the market. So hopefully, fingers crossed, all of our issues are solved and we will be able to skate through issue free. Knock on wood. So if you are joining me live today or you're catching the replay, please let me know. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. And I would love to say hello back. So I am going to quick flip to my desk view. I'm going to show you the products in the suite while everybody's coming on in. And then we're going to get to some stamping. We're going to make four projects. You get a little bonus today. And then I got a bunch more to share with you. So let me flip to my desk here. There we go. And here is the suite. It is, okay, I'm going to be honest, true confessions, okay? I thought it was super cute. I was like, you know what? I don't have anybody to create cute projects for anymore because my son is grown up and his friends are grown up and we don't have grandchildren yet. So it's like, what am I going to do with these cute cards? Well, I wasn't going to order this suite. And then I did an event for my team last month. And wouldn't you know, this was the suite that I ended up demonstrating. So I had to order the suite. And let me tell you, once I started playing with it, oh, they're so cute. I couldn't stop. So I'm going to show you these adorable products. So we've got the Jolly Delivery stamp set. Super cute images, line art images that you can color. And then, of course, we've got lots of sentiments that you can kind of mix and match. And then we've got coordinating dies. And we've got this large die. This one here actually cuts a treat box. We're going to make one today because I thought it would be helpful for me to show you what it looks like when it comes out of the die and how to put it together. So we're going to do one of those today. And then we've got open dies to cut out our stamped images as well. So that's the Jolly Delivery bundle. And then we have some absolutely adorable designer series paper. So this is, you get five patterns, 2 sheets of each, plus 2 sheets of die cut pieces. So this is the DSP. This is all 10 patterns in the DSP pack. We've got cute little animals. The dies cut out several of these. So for example, there's my bear. Okay, I can cut out my little bear. What else can I cut? I can cut out my kitty. Oh, he's not on this one. Kitty and dog are on a different sheet. Hang on. We've got postmarks. We've got lots of envelopes. Here we go. Here's the dog. The dies cut this guy out as well. And then our leaping kitty with reindeer antlers there. They also, you can cut that with the dies as well. So lots of possibilities with this one. In addition to the critters, we've got like a grid, a distress grid. We've got these cute little delivery trucks. We've got Santa's mailbag with lots of letters. We've got a polka dot, a pool party polka dot. We've got some vintage post boxes, and then we've got a streetscape. So you're going to see me using several of these patterns today on projects. And then included, as I mentioned, we have these really, really cute die cut pieces. So there's one sheet that is lots and lots of critters, some envelopes, some stamps. And then we also have a second sheet that has delivery trucks and post boxes and storefronts. Just lots and lots of fun and so many possibilities. You're going to see me using those today as well. So that is the DSP. And then, of course, we have super cute embellishment. So let me start with the fuzzy trim. This is truly fuzzy. I wish this was like, you could touch this. It's really, really cute and very, very soft. It is quite thick and bulky, though. This is not trim that you would use to tie a bow, okay? And then we also have these embellishments. These are called deer dots. They're a matte, fairly low profile dot. And there's actually Poppy Parade in this pack as well. So we've got the Garden Green, Pool Party, Petal Pink, and Poppy Parade is hiding up underneath the label there. So that is the suite. So those are the embellishments. And now let me see who's joining us on a Wednesday. I know I'm throwing everybody off by going live on a Wednesday, but I just want to acknowledge those who joined me here today. So we got Jean. Hi, Jean. Yes, it's chilly and wet here too as well. Hi, Doris. Hi, Janet. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Suzanne and Linda and Stephanie from Tennessee. Welcome. Hi, Jackie. Hey, Krista and Alexina. Welcome. Facebook was echoing. Okay. I hope it's not echoing on YouTube. Hi, Jeannie K. Welcome. Hi, Kathy. All right, let me show you the first project we're going to make. I actually posted this one yesterday in anticipation of hopefully going live. Or sorry, I think I posted this on Monday in anticipation of going live on Tuesday, but that didn't happen. So this is the project we're going to make. And if you're noticing that my picture is jumping, is because I'm using 2 different cameras on my phone, one for close-up and one for distance, in the hope that I'll get a better image quality here. All right, so to start, we have a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock. It is 4 by 5¼ inches. And I'm going to bring in this cute little stamp. I will show you it on the stamp case. It's easier to see. This one here, it's got the little letters. And we're just going to do some stamping around the outer edge of this piece of cardstock. Now I'm going to stamp in Pecan Pie ink on my Crumb Cake cardstock. So I'm going to stamp, and I don't need it to be super regular, but I do want it to be relatively straight. I don't want my envelopes to be kind of wonky here. I want to make sure that they're relatively straight, just because they are sort of a regular pattern, and they would look a little odd if they were crooked. So we're just going to kind of come around. I'm going to intentionally offset this a little bit because I don't want it to look too regular. I'm not worrying about filling in the middle there because we will be covering that. Let me see if I can, I left myself a gap there. That's okay. All right, so that's essentially what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to come in with my blending brush, and we're going to blend that out a little bit. And this is just going to kind of soften down those images and kind of blend them into our background a little bit. We don't really want them to steal the show on our card. So this is, again, Pecan Pie ink. I'm just coming in and blending those out. It's going to blur them a little bit when you stamp and then ink blend over top. It blurs your images slightly, which is kind of the vintage vibe I'm going for here. So we're just going to darken this down. Again, I'm not worrying about the center because we're going to cover that all up. So we'll just come on around. Oh, I see we've got more joining. Okay, good. I'm glad the sound is good on YouTube, Krista. Hi, Jaylene and Laura. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome. Hi, Sonia. Thank you for sharing. I so appreciate you all sharing and liking and letting me know that you like what I'm doing. All right, so there we go. Doesn't look like much right now, but just give it a minute. Next up, we have a piece of Petal Pink cardstock. This is 4 by 2 inches. And oh, it's not 4. It's too long. Let's put that down. Actually, we'll glue it on and then we'll trim it. We're going to go ahead and glue that across the center of our panel here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on here. I should mention this is embossed using the Forever Plaid embossing folder. Super cute for the holidays. Well, for any time, to be honest. I love this folder. And then I'm just going to take and trim off that excess bit because apparently I can't measure. I'll just cut off that extra bit. So this should be 4 by 2. All right, so next I have a piece of the North Pole Delivery DSP. This is that sort of distressed grid. It's Poppy Parade on Very Vanilla. And then I've die cut it using the perennial postage dies. Now those dies were made for this suite. They coordinate so perfectly with all of the post boxes and the post office images. So just to soften this down a little bit, again, I'm going to come in with a bit of Pecan Pie ink. Let's put the lid on the glue here. And we're just going to soften down the edges of this just lightly. I don't want it to be too heavy-handed. I still want it to read as vanilla. But I just didn't want it to be quite so stark against the background that we've already blended out. So just lightly all the way around. Again, I'm not worrying too much about the middle because we're going to cover most of that. Okay. All righty. Hi, Judy. Welcome. Hi, welcome, Colleen. I'm glad you could make it. We're going to add a little bit of glue to the back of our die cut piece here. And we're going to pop that on centered on our panel. Just like that. And then we're actually going to go ahead and glue that onto our card base before we add all of our additional pieces. So our card base here is Pecan Pie cardstock, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So we will go ahead and fold in half along our score line. Crisp it up with our bone folder. And then add a little bit of glue and pop our panel onto our card front. And what I like is the way that the blended ink kind of helps that background blend into our card base. Just kind of fades into it. Alrighty, let's play with some of these adorable die cut pieces. Now, in the DSP set, or in the DSP pack, I should say, you get all sorts of little die cuts. So we've got lots of envelopes. So I thought this would be a fun, sort of sending Christmas wishes from afar idea. So I've just got a whole bunch of envelopes, and we're going to have kind of a riot of mail happening here. We don't have a riot of mail happening right now in Canada. We're getting dribs and drabs as our postal workers are still in a labor dispute. This has been going on for, well, I honestly way too long, almost a year now. Anyway, we're just gonna truck along and hope that things get resolved in time to be able to mail Christmas cards. So I'm just going to pop all of these little envelopes onto my card here. Now, a trick when you're doing a little collage effect like this, you want to make sure that all of your piece images are touching. That makes it feel like a cohesive design. If you have them all sort of spread out and scattered, it doesn't look like really as cohesive. Okay, so that's just a little design tip for you that I have learned over the years. I'm adding dimensionals to the back of these so that they kind of pop from my background. So we'll just add a couple more here. Oops, I already took the backing out of that one. Come here, you. And we'll pop that guy on there. And then I've got a couple of these cute little stamps. This one's a little candy cane. Tuck that guy up here. And then we'll add, actually, we're going to wait to add that one. We're going to add it to our sentiment. So I'm going to come in with a strip here of Very Vanilla. This is just a 1/2 inch by, I don't know, 4 inch-ish scrap that was actually cut from a layer for the inside of the card. And I'm going to stamp in Poppy Parade ink, Sending Merry Tidings. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that. I'm going to stamp it a little bit towards the right. We're going to add our postage stamp and then trim off the excess. All right. Hi, Claire. Hi, Susan. Hi, Arlene. Yes, I know. My son actually, when he heard I was going live, he thought it was Tuesday. He's like, wait, it's not Tuesday. It's Wednesday. He was very confused, as was I most of the day. So now that I've got my little banner stamped, I'm going to add my postage stamp to the left end there. I might trim this a little bit at a bit of an angle. There we go. And then that is just going to get adhered kind of across that bottom portion of our card here. I'm going to add a dimensional just tucked right in between those envelopes there. And then I'm going to run some seal along the back of my little banner. And that way, anything that is going to overlap my envelopes will stick flat. And the rest, oh, is that straight? No, it's not. So what happens when you have cockeyed pieces on your card, it's easy to get your, I got to move this closer. Sorry, guys. There we go. When you have cockeyed pieces on your card, it's hard to get your pieces straight. All right, I have here, this is actually from the Braided trim. So this is Petal Pink braided trim. It's an online exclusive, and I pulled out a couple of threads from it just to kind of tie a cute little bow that will coordinate and look a little bit kind of distressed and vintagey, which is kind of the vibe we've got going on this card. So I'm just going to tie a little bow, trim my tails down a bit, and then we're going to just tuck that right in the corner of our banner here. On this one, I tucked it underneath because my banner extended past my envelope, but I had my envelope out a little bit on this one. So I'm going to just glue it onto the bottom of my banner with a glue booger. So we're just going to grab this, roll it into a little glue booger, and then we're just going to press the knot of our bow into it like that. Okay, and then our last touch is some of our deer dots. So see, I told you there was some Poppy Parade ones hiding up in there. We're going to use some Pool Party on this one though, I think. So we'll just grab a couple. 1 and 2 and 3. And there we go. Done and done. Isn't that cute? These die cut pieces make it so quick to put these projects together. Now on the inside, I stamped a very vanilla panel. I did some more envelopes along the bottom, and then used one of the sentiments from the stamp set. Okay, so that is number 1 done. Hope you like that one. Let's move on to number 2. Now number 2 is kind of a two-parter. So I have, don't throw it on the floor, Lena. I have a couple of, so this is a little card and coordinating gift box. So I thought this would be a really cute little gifty idea. So your card, just really straightforward. I'll show you how we're going to do that one. And then the little gift box, I'm going to show you how to assemble it. Look how cute that is. So, so cute. All right. So let's start with our card. So, oh my goodness, I got paper falling everywhere here. I'm going to pull out my card base first, and I need to grab the right bucket of goodies here. I've got some Pool Party ink and this adorable little paw print stamp. So my card base is 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 4 1/4. So we'll go ahead and fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to do a little bit of stamping right on the card base. I don't often do this, but I just love this little stamp. I think it's super cute. So we're just going to stamp some little paw prints, kind of walking up the left side of our card base here. Whoops, that guy did not quite. Let's see if we can maybe get that. Oh, you know what? It's not going to matter. We're not going to see it anyway. Have a couple more there. That looks good. All right. Aren't they cute? Those little paw prints. So, so cute. All right. Colleen, honestly, I didn't know I wanted this set either until I started playing with it. All right, so I have here another postage stamp cut with the perennial postage dies from Poppy Parade cardstock. This one measures 4.5 by 3 1/4. Okay, and then I have a piece of the North Pole Delivery DSP. This measures 4 1/4 by 3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and layer those. A little bit of glue. We'll pop that on. And then we're going to create a little scene here. So I have a couple of the little die cut houses. We're going to kind of create a little, or not houses, storefronts, I guess. We're going to create a little streetscape to set our bear again. So this one is going to get popped up as soon as I find where they're there. They're hiding, buried under my dots here. So we'll just add a couple of dimensionals to the back of this guy. And we're going to pop this one on just towards the top left corner of our panel here. And then this little one is going to get glued flat, sort of up into the right. So just a little bit of liquid glue. And we'll pop that one on right about there. Okay. All right, we're going to set that aside for a minute, and we're going to come in with our little bear. So this guy is stamped in basic gray ink, just on white cardstock, and then he's die cut out. And then we're going to do just a little bit of coloring. I turned him into a polar bear. He's not a polar bear on the DSP, but polar bears require very little coloring, and which is perfect for a live. So we're going to start by darkening his nose. I'm just using the light black Stampin' Blends. Give him a little black nose. And then we're going to shadow just a little bit sort of under his neck and under his belly here with some light, this is light smoky slate. So I'm just kind of adding a bit of shadow. And then we're going to come in with our color lifter to lighten that up. So I'm taking my color lifter and I'm basically just kind of running it over top of what I just put down. And what that's going to do is give me an even lighter shade of smoky slate so that it really does look shadowy. Okay, that's all there is to that. And then we're going to color our gift boxes. So this large one, I'm going to start with my light Poppy Parade. And you do have to be careful with this, especially this particular red. It does have a tendency to bleed a little bit depending on how much pressure you use. I'm using a really, really light touch, but you just really want to be careful as you get up close to those edges. I kind of approach the edge. I don't go right up to it because I find that it actually bleeds and fills in that little gap there. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of dark just along, sorry, the edge of the gift here and along the base like that. And then again, with the light to blend that out. I find Poppy Parade is one of those colors that just blends so beautifully. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to color the stripe on this guy, again with the light Poppy Parade. And then the small gift, we're going to color with the dark. I'm not going to do any blending on these little guys here. There we go. Oh, missed a spot. And then we're going to color the bottom one here with the dark Pool Party, just to pull in some of the colors from our card here. I don't find I have to be as careful with the Pool Party about the bleeding. I just find the reds reds and greens. Okay, there we go. Done. Isn't he cute? Little polar bear. All right. Now, before we put him onto our panel here, we're going to add some of our fuzzy trim. This is going to serve as snow. So I'm going to cut, I don't know, about a 6-inch length of trim, which will go right around along the bottom of our panel here. And then I'm going to run some seal right along the bottom edge of the DSP. Okay, and that's just to make sure this lies nice and flat. So then I'm going to just run that along that bottom edge where I put my seal. We'll flip this over, add a little bit more seal on the back, and that will secure those raw ends. So we have a nice finished edge. Okay, instant snow. Wasn't that easy? All right, we're going to go ahead and pop our bear on. Now he's going to cover our post office sign because our sign's kicking out to the right side, but that's okay. We're going to pop him on right about there. So we will add a couple of, not black dimensionals, where are my regular, they're there, hiding under my blends. We're going to add a couple of dimensionals here, just see where we need them. I don't normally put my dimensionals on my project, but I need to see where they can go so that he's going to lie flat. I don't want to put dimensionals where it's going to bump over my trim or over my popped up storefront there. I need one with the gifts up here, and I think we're good. So we'll get rid of these backings and pop him on. Just like that. Look how cute he is. All right, so let's actually, you know what? Let's put this on our card and then we'll work on our sentiment. So we're just going to add some seal to the back. And the nice thing about the seal is you can run it right over top of that fuzzy trim. Just go with the flow, not against the grain. And it will help to secure the whole thing on the front of your card. So we'll just pop that on, relatively centered and hopefully kind of straight. Just like that. Okay, and then I have here just a little 1/2-inch scrap of white cardstock. This is left from making my sample, and we're going to stamp our Merry Christmas and Happy Wishes in Poppy Parade. So I'll stamp that. I'm going to stamp it towards that angled end there. There we go. I made a little bit off of that end still, just because I don't want to run into trouble with it hanging off the edge of my card. And then we'll trim the other end as well. And then that is going to get popped up right about there. I don't want to completely cover my store in the background there. So it's just going to kind of run across there like that. Is that straight? No, it's not. Wow, Lena's having issues today with getting things straight. Holy cow. There we go. All right, and then our last touch is a few more of our little dots here. Our deer dots. So 1 and 2. And we'll put one up here. 3. There we go. Isn't that cute? So fun. All right, so now we're going to make a coordinating little box because I want to show you how this die works. So you can get one box out of a half sheet of cardstock. Okay, it will fit through the machine. You have to put it in on a bit of an angle. When you put your, let me just grab this. If you have, this isn't quite 6 inches, but if you are putting it into your machine, it kind of has to go that way. If this is my platform, it has to go in on an angle. It can't go in straight or it won't fit. Okay. And then the other cool thing is, let me just bring the whole die set over here again. You can interchange your little closure. So the little flap that closes your dies, you can choose a star and it just kind of nests in there like that. Just see how that kind of interlocks. There's little tabs there. Here, I'll hold it up so you can see. See those little tabs? And then your closure die locks in there. So there's a circle, a star, and a heart. So I think I've used the heart on this one. Yes, I did. So when you run it through, this is what you get. Like, it's so quick and easy to make these things. Before we put it together, we are going to stamp some little paw prints all over it because I just love this little stamp image. I think it's super cute. So I'm just going to start stamping random paw prints. And I want to make sure I'm turning my die. I do not want them to look the same direction at all. I really don't need to worry about stamping this front panel because that's going to be covered. We're going to put some right across our hearts there. Couple more. Maybe one there. There we go. Okay. Just some random little paw prints. They really are super cute, Jean. I have to agree with you. All right, now to fold this, we're just going to fold along all of our score lines and give them a good burnish. Okay, so whoops, I got a piece of cardstock stuck on my bone folder. So we're just going to fold along all of our score lines. We're folding them all inwards. Okay, so I've turned my wrong side up and I'm just folding everything, all of those score lines, making sure they fold nice and straight to make sure we have a nice square box. And now I do have to tell you, if you are wanting to cut a box out of DSP, you will have a hard time seeing the score lines. My first attempt at using this die was to cut DSP and it wasn't great. It was really hard to see where to fold. So that's just my little warning for you. All right, so now that we've done all the folding, you can see how easily this is going to come together. These little tabs are going to attach to our side panels on both sides, and then that gives us our closure. I'll show you how it closes. So you can see how that just folds in. It's kind of like a little envelope. All right, so let's put a little bit of glue on our tabs. I like to use liquid glue just because the tabs are fairly small and it's kind of hard to get tape onto those little bitty tabs. If you are someone who doesn't like to use liquid glue on 3D items, you certainly could use tear and tape or seal or something. I just find I like the liquid glue because I feel like it makes it easier to get my box square. So I'm doing one side at a time. I'm going to turn it on its side as I hold my little tabs in place and wait for my glue to set. Just takes a second. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. A little bit of glue. A little bit of glue. Tuck those in. And again, just hold them for a sec to set the glue. There we go. All right, now to close this, we tuck in our side flaps and then the one with the closure and then our top piece. So we're going to bend our little hearts, the edges of our heart up, tuck them into that little slot, and pull them through. Now this is much easier to close when you actually have something in the box, I have to say, because there's something to press against to push to close it. But that's how it works. Isn't that cute? All right, let's decorate the back side, or front side as the case may be. I have here, I'm kind of doing the reverse of what I did on my card. So here, instead of doing my postage stamp out of cardstock, I did my postage stamp out of DSP. So this piece is 2 7/8 by 2 1/8. And then this little guy, again, cut with the perennial postage dies, is 2 by 2 3/4. So we're just going to go ahead and glue that onto our cardstock. Let's pop that on there. There we go. And then we've got the North Pole. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Just like that. And then I've already gone ahead and colored my bear just because, you know, you've already seen it done. You don't need to see it twice. So this is going to get glued towards the top of our box. And then our bear is going to kind of walk across that bottom segment. So we'll go ahead and add a little glue here. And pop it on. Now, you certainly could do all of this before you glue the box together, but I don't think it's necessary. Pretty straightforward. And then again, we're going to pop our bear up. So we'll add a couple of dimensionals here. Now, this box, I think we don't have Hershey nuggets here in Canada readily available. They sometimes come in at Costco. I'm always checking at this time of year for whether we get them. I think this box will hold 6 Hershey nuggets, I think. Okay, so there we go. There's your cute little bear. Let's put some dots on here. Maybe we'll change the dot color. Nah, let's stick with the pool party works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Add a couple of these guys here. And there we go. There's our little box. Now on the back side, I'm not going to take the time to do it, but I stamped a little from Me to You sentiment and glued it just above the closure there, so that the person, when they flip it over to open, they see that cute little message. Okay, Lauren, you use glue dots to glue it. Okay, that works too, I'm sure. Whatever adhesive you like. Okay, so there we go. That is our little box and card set. And then the last project we're going to do today is a fun fold. It is this one. So it folds flat. This is just a regular size card, but it stands up like this. It's a little tower card. So our focal image pops out. It stands like this. I'm all about displaying projects or cards at Christmas time. I always picture people getting Christmas cards and displaying them on their mantle. So I love doing fun fold Christmas cards that people can stand up and kind of have it become part of their decor. So that's how it stands. The back side has a panel for us to write our greeting. But that's what we're going to make. It is super easy. Super, super easy. So we're going to start with a piece of pool party cardstock. This is 5.5 by 9 inches. So it's like 1/2 inch wider than a half sheet. So you actually have to cut this from the 8.5 by 11 this way, just to get the size panels and have it be a regular sized fold flat card. Okay. So 5.5 by 9 scored at 2 1/8, 4 1/4, 6 3/8, and 8.5. I should do it this way, I guess. No, I guess that's right. 8.5. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and fold inwards along all of my score lines. I'm going to burnish really well. We're essentially making a box or a pillar. Okay. This last little flap is what is going to secure our panels together. And I'm just going to take and bevel these a little bit just so that I get a nice clean finish when I put my pieces together. Okay, so you can see how that's going to form my tower. All right, so with this last panel folded in, actually I'm going to do it. Yeah, that works. With this last panel folded inwards, again, I'm going to come in with a little bit of liquid glue and I'm going to run it right up to that fold, make sure I've got enough there to secure it, and then I'm just bringing that left flap over and burnishing. Okay, and that gives me my tower. Like, that's how easy this card is. It's so crazy easy. All right, now before we decorate, we do have to create our little mechanism for our little sort of pop out feature here. And to do that, let me just grab my piece out of here. This is a 1 by 3 inch piece of Pool Party cardstock. Okay, and I've scored it at 1/2, 1, 2, and 2.5. Or you could just think of 1/2 and 1, and then flip 1/2 and 1 on each end. Okay. All right. So this first little score line, we're going to fold valley. Next one's a mountain. Okay. Then I'm going to go flip it around, do the same thing. Valley, mountain. And I just want to make sure, and my measurements here were not perfect. I want to make sure that those little flaps, when I flip it over, they meet, just like a gatefold. It's like a little mini gatefold. Okay. We want to make sure that those meet in the middle. I'm going to burnish this really well. And then we're going to glue this onto the front of our card base. Now, I like to have my seam at the back. I'm not sure if you can see. My seam is there. So I am gluing this little pop-out piece opposite my seam there. All right. So I'm going to take and put a little bit of liquid glue on those 2 little flaps at the back. Those little 1/2-inch flaps. Just like that. And then I'm going to glue this so that it straddles that fold in the middle. Let's put it up a little higher. I don't want it to be too low. So I just want to take a minute and make sure that those pieces or those folds over, like they straddle. If you can hear, I'll hold it up. You can see. You see how it straddles the fold there? Okay. All right. That is all there is to this card. The rest is just decorating. It really is a super easy, fun fold, and one that you could absolutely mass produce if you were so inclined for making Christmas cards. All right, so our panels to decorate, we have 3 panels of the DSP, and I use this sort of storefront pattern. Let's get them in order here. So they're going to go across the front and wrap around the left side of the back like that. So these are 1 7/8 by 5 1/4 each. And then I have some garden green. I actually use 2-tone cardstock just for lighter weight and less bulk. So I have 4 garden green panels that are 2 by 5 3/8. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add some glue to the back of all of these DSP strips here and layer them onto our garden green. So there's 1. And 2. I'm trying to keep them in order so my scene is continuous. And 3. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and glue them onto our card front. So this is the one that's going to wrap around the back. These 2 are going to get glued onto the front. So again, a little bit more liquid glue. And we're just going to tuck this in underneath that pop-out piece. Center it on the left panel there. Okay, and then this guy is going to tuck in underneath and fill in on the right side. So again, I'm tucking it under that little pop-out. Lining up my edges, making sure everything's nice and flush. Okay, so that's my front. I'm going to flip this over. There is my panel for the back. A little bit more glue. Ooh, this one isn't glued as straight. Lena, you didn't do a very good job of that one. There we go. And then I'll wait to do the sentiment panel in a moment. All right, so let's decorate our focal image here. So this is a die cut done using the Spotlight on Nature dies cut from Poppy Parade cardstock. And then this is the largest circle from the Stylish Shapes cut from the North Pole Delivery DSP. So we're just going to layer those. And this fits so perfectly on this. I love using this combination of circles. Okay, then we have a little post office. This one's going to get glued so that it's kind of hanging off, hanging off that left edge. I just need a quick sip of water. Got a frog in my throat. So I'll add just a quick bit of seal here. And we'll pop this on. This again is more of the die cut pieces from the DSP. You can see why I love this so much because it's so quick and easy. Our little North Pole, we're going to pop up with a couple of mini dimensionals. So we'll go 1, 2, and 3. So it's going to kind of be down kind of in the forefront here. And then I didn't have another little dog, so we're going to do a kitty because this is appropriate in our house. So we are overrun with cats. We have our 2, and then we have a couple of stray ferals that we feed and house. Well, we don't house them. We have a cat motel that they stay warm in over the winter. So there is our kitty leaping through the snow to deliver mail. So we'll pop him or her on. Just like that. And then we're going to make our little sentiment banner. So this little die cut is from the traditional labels. Yes, traditional labels dies. And we are going to stamp our special delivery from me to you. This is 2 different stamps. So we're going to start with special delivery in Poppy Parade. Jean, you won't be sorry once you start playing with it. Honestly, you'll thank me because it's so cute and so fun to play with. I have had a great time. I'm actually really glad I ended up getting it because it's a lot of fun to play around with these little critters. And there's the die cuts make it so fast and easy to make all kinds of cute little scenes. All right, so I'm stamping. I did special delivery in Poppy Parade, and then I'm going to stamp from me to you in Garden Green. I got to get right up over top because it is really hard to see to get that straight. And then I've got some little pine branches. These are cut from the Delicate Pines dies. I wanted to add just a little bit of Christmas greenery here. So I'm going to just put a little bit of seal on the back of my little sign here. And I'm just going to stick a couple of these guys on. So we're just going to go 1. Oops, let's make sure that's right side up. 2, a little bit more, and 3. There's our greenery. Okay, and that's going to kind of run right across. Now I got to make sure I'm not covering up my kitty there. You know what? I'm going to move my pole up a little bit higher, just because I want to make sure we're not blocking our poor kitty. Come here, you. Come on off. There we go. Where there's a will, there's a way when it comes to pulling off pieces, right? There we go. Now that can go across there quite nicely. So I'm going to put dimensionals on either side of my little pole here. So we'll kind of do 1 and 2. And then that is just going to kind of run across the center of our sign. We'll make sure things are straight before we stick it down. We'll tuck this branch in behind our kitty. There we go. All right, now to glue this onto our card, we're simply going to put some glue on this little pop-out piece and stick her down. It's that easy. So a little bit of glue here. And I want to make this sure this is centered side to side. Over a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then a couple little touches. I need my twine. I forgot my twine. We're going to add a little bitty bow. This is our black and white, or not black and white, red and white baker's twine. I'm not colorblind. So I'll just cut off a length and tie a bitty bow. And just adjust our tails a little bit. There we go. And then for a little bitty bow like this, I like to use half a glue dot. So what I do is I just take and cut it in half off my roll and then take that little half glue dot. And that's just a little bit less sticky so that when I'm tying this very fine twine on, I don't end up with a sticky sort of bit kind of peeking out behind and end up sticking my card or catching on the envelope. Okay. And then our last touch are some of our little red, what the heck is this? I just had my contacts pop up. I have no idea why. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of our little red dots this time. So we'll do one up here and one here And maybe we'll do one under his tummy down here. Yeah, sure, why not? No, let's do a small one. There we go. All right, now our last touch is to add our panel on the back. So for that, we're going to stamp our Merry Christmas and Happy Wishes in Poppy Parade ink. Now I have to actually set this against my dark background because it is very hard for me to see the edges of this panel. And this stamp is just the right width. It will just fit on our white panel here. So my white panel is also cut to 2 by 5 3/8, or sorry, 2 by 5, no, 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. Same size as my DSP was. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add that to the back of our card. Like that. A little bit of glue. And, oh, that's my sample. There we go. We'll pop that on. Now on this one, I added some little green paw prints. I didn't take the time to do that on this one, but yeah, super cute. All right, so there you go. There are some ideas. Now I've got lots more, so don't go away. Let me just bring back the projects that we just put together, and then I will pull in a few more. Here's our little box. Okay, here's another idea for the box. This one is all using the die cut pieces. Okay, super simple. Here is one using a mixture of the die cut pieces and then some stamped little critters that I colored in with my blends. A little bit of fuzzy trim there on that one. Here's another one. This is all about the DSP. There's the only stamping is the sentiment on this one. I love the Christmas greetings embossing folder with this suite as well. And then let me move this up so that you can, here's another one. I think I posted this the other day as well. Maybe even today. I don't remember. It's all a blur. Here's another one. This one, again, all about the DSP. I just cut a whole bunch of postage stamps using the perennial postage dies and layered them up. And then here are a couple of swaps I received. So here's one. Again, lots of postage stamps. Gotta love that perennial postage dies. Here's another one. And one more. This one I used the Christmas greetings embossing folder and then with some two-tone cardstock and then sanded the cardstock to get a little bit of a distressed pattern. But there we go. Lots of ideas using the adorable North Pole Delivery suite from Stampin' Up! You like them? Thanks, everybody. I'm just checking the comments here. All right. I'm glad you like them. All right, let me just go back and say a proper goodbye. So let's hear it for Rogers. They came through. We had pretty good Wi-Fi, I think, all the way through. I didn't hear or notice any issues. So I think, fingers crossed, our problem is solved. We can go back to regular Tuesdays. Now, I have to give you a heads up. I'm going to do my best to be live next week on Tuesday, but I have my 3-day weekend retreat this weekend. And I may not be able to get my act together enough because by the time I get home Sunday night, it's going to be very late. And then I need to unpack and then I'm going to need to get my act together. I have another retreat I have to get at the door on Tuesday. So I'm going to do my best. If I am not able to go live, I will definitely post. So you're not sitting here waiting for me, wondering where I am. But I will do my best to pull it together and be able to go live for you next week. Okay, everybody, have a great week. And I will see you hopefully next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.